Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the Coaching Call podcast. On this podcast, we'll cover various types of coaching by trainers in sports, martial arts, fitness, and business. We'll discuss each coach's methods to getting the most out of their respective athletes or clients and how they attempt to change the platform in which they coach. Join us on a fun adventure as we discuss unique coaching styles. Coaching is a universal part of how we get others to get something done. Join your host, Rafael, and his guests on this unique journey in coaching.
Hi, I'm Sifu Rafael, and this is the Coaching Call podcast. If you enjoy this episode, please subscribe and leave a review. This episode was made possible by listeners like you. Hi, welcome to Coaching Call. I was expecting Brad Carlson, and he's a guy who lost 38, at the age of 38, lost 50 pounds. And what an incredible journey this gentleman has had. Unfortunately, he's not here currently. Let's talk a little bit about your fitness level. Where are you as far as how do you feel when you wake up, when you get out of bed in the morning? Are you sluggish? Do you feel vibrant? Do you feel alive? Do you need a cup of coffee in order to revive yourself, right? So what are the things that are you doing every day to live your best life? For me personally, first thing I need to do is get out, shower, right? Get out of bed, and I'm vibrant. The minute I wake up, I shower. I feel that shower to me is a great way for me to wash away everything that's ever happened, to start fresh, if you will, right? And then, of course, I have to work out. For me, working out is an essential part of my life. Every day, I have to work out. There is no fail for me. I don't know anything else. I have to move. So movement is everything. I was really excited to talk to Brad. Unfortunately, he is not with us now. So one of the things that a lot of people are doing is going through transformation. But where does that transformation stop? So a lot of people, as a martial arts instructor, a lot of people come in and they say they want to be a black belt. So one of the things that everybody wants to do is be a black belt. I have great news. Brad is just joining us. Brad, thank you so much, buddy. Thank you so much. I thought you were not going to make it at all, so I'm happy you did make it. Brad, can you hear me? Hello? Brad,
Can you hear me?
I can now. How are you?
I can't hear you.
Well, this is why we had to join early. You can't hear me, I can hear you.
Now I can hear you. Hi, good morning, Sifu.
Good morning. How are you, buddy? All
Uh,
right.
been
So
a crazy
do
night,
me a
but here we
favor.
go.
Do me a favor. Before we go on, just check your settings. Make sure that you have echo canceling because you obviously don't have headphones on. So just make sure you have echo canceling so we don't get this echo, 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 echo. Okay?
How do I do that?
You know what? I'll do it on my end. Don't worry
Okay.
about it. All right. So I was just talking about, I know you were a little delayed coming on, about transformation and how you went from 50 pounds overweight at the age of 38 and you've made that transformation. And I was also talking about how many times people come to me as a martial arts instructor myself, and they come in and they want to be a black belt. But that's a stopping point for them instead of a beginning journey. So that's what I want to talk about today with you. Obviously, you've helped a lot of people. You've transformed not only yourself, but now you're helping other people transform. But it doesn't stop at that one time when you lose the 50 pounds, whatever, 10 pounds, 100 pounds. It shouldn't stop there, should it?
No. The journey definitely continues, and what keeps the journey going is your why, your reason behind all of this.
Right.
And I think that's where a lot of people fall off the horse. Is they have a goal, like we just mentioned, weight loss. Yeah, I want to lose 10 pounds, and it's maybe to fit in a certain size dress, or something like that, an external goal. And
Hmm.
then they reach that goal, and then it's like, okay, now what's next? And they don't set that next stage of their journey, and that's a big part of it. That's what's kept me going for 13 years,
Mm.
having that internal connection with my why. Same with you, Sifu. There's something within you that motivates you to keep doing martial arts and all of that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So one of the things that really intrigues me is why people realize that there's something not comfortable with the way they feel, right? They're not comfortable. Maybe they have a hard time going up the stairs. Maybe they're huffing and puffing. It's hard to tie your shoe, all these different things. When there's that discomfort and we keep saying, I'll take care of it tomorrow. I'll take care
Yeah.
of it tomorrow. Tomorrow
Yeah.
it's a new day tomorrow. Well, guess what? Are you not living now? Are you not living in the moment? So I think, and at 38, what triggered you to make that change?
What triggered me, and what most people are still latching on to, is I was no longer satisfied with the status quo. The
Mm,
status quo in my life said that I was overweight, a couch potato, lethargic, no energy, low self esteem, all of that, you name it. That was my status quo. And finally, I just had to say, okay, you know what? No more of the status quo. The two words that I always use, Sifu, to describe myself in this stage of the journey was disappointed and disgusted. I was really, really disgusted with who I'd become, and really, really disappointed in the person that I had become, because all through my 20s I was fairly active, as a soccer player and whatnot. And I did have a little bit of understanding of a gym, and my way around a gym, but not a whole lot. But in my 30s, all that went out the window. You get married, you're raising a child, you get caught up in the work life struggle, or balance, as some people call it. And I just got to the point where I was no longer happy with the status quo. And I know a lot of people in their journey, you just mentioned, oh, I'm huffing and puffing going up the stairs or whatever. I have a hard time reaching down to tie my shoe. They're not satisfied with the status quo yet. That's who they are. And until they get to that place, it's an inside job. It's an inside journey. It's definitely an inner journey. Until they get to that place that says, you know what? I'm not going to be satisfied with who I am presently right now in my life, that I do want to make a change. And that's what made the difference for me, is that, you know what, I do want to make a change. And
mm,
that's what, and I call that little spark of desire. That's what started that was the spark that started the fire, that then just turned into a raging forest fire, I guess, of health and fitness and all of that. And so people, they have to look at where they are and say, okay, am I currently satisfied with where my life is in terms of my health? We'll just focus on the particular health
sure,
aspect.
sure.
And if they're not, then that's that spark, that's that desire that then can say, okay, well, how can I be better? How can I better my health? And it's choosing to no longer accept the status quo, and then going forward with saying, okay, who do I want to be now? Okay, what's that? I always talk about this now, that vision for a better version of myself. If you're a business owner, you obviously have a vision for where you want your business to go. We've all talked about, what's your dream? What's your dream in your life? Which is another amazing thing also.
Right.
And what is really key for people to emphasize, what I really want folks to emphasize, or to take note of here, is you've got to have a vision for your life, for that better version of yourself. And that didn't even come for me until about 2-3 years into my journey, because I didn't fully understand that too. I was just 100% focused on losing weight and keeping weight off, and that doesn't work. That never works as long as that's your main focus, unless you're just extremely really, really disciplined, really, really dedicated. Those few, they become exercise junkies or whatnot.
Right.
But long, I get passionate. I love to talk about this. You've got to look at yourself, say, hey, I'm no longer satisfied with the status quo. Let's go ahead and let's create that vision. Who's the best version of me that I want to become? And that's how you go from, not being able to walk up the stairs, not being able to tie your shoe, to saying, you know what, time for a change. Let's do this.
Yeah, yeah. You know, when it comes to that point, some people don't get there on their own. Maybe they have a heart attack. Maybe the doctor
Yeah,
says your
that's true.
cholesterol is too high, and then it's a wake-up call. But not everybody listens to that message. One day I was at a barbecue many, many years ago, and someone introduced me to their grandma who had a hole in her throat because
You,
she had throat
you're breaking
cancer.
up, Sifu.
Actually, I'm not. You are.
I am. Oh no,
Yeah,
I'm sorry. It's
that's okay.
my internet
So
at home went out this morning. I had
gotcha.
a yeah,
No,
it's
I
crazy.
appreciate you being on. So, yeah,
Yeah,
and thank you for, adjusting to that. So, yeah, your
yeah.
internet went out, so I appreciate you, doing it this way. So, one of the things is that I was at a barbecue and someone introduced me to their grandma. Really nice lady. She had a hole in her throat because she had throat cancer. So, but then I see her smoking a cigarette through the hole. So did she get the message? I think not.
Obviously, no.
Yeah.
And there are people like that. And you mentioned heart attack just a moment ago. There are
Yes.
people that, will have a heart attack and say, okay, now maybe I should make a change. And I try to get to people before that major health issue, heart attack,
That is
stroke,
it.
diabetes, something like that. Ultimately, Sifu, you know this, I know this. We can't be responsible for somebody else's life and
Mm,
somebody else's journey. That's just the reality. And until someone, like I said, is really willing to own their journey, to own their life, to take full responsibility, then yeah, they're still going to smoke the cigarette through the hole on their windpipe.
right,
Wow,
right,
what
right.
a crazy situation. I can't imagine that. But
Oh,
we can only help the people that want to be helped.
right. So that's one of the things that one of the questions I always ask someone who comes to me and wants to get in shape or wants to make a difference in their life. I don't just take them on. I ask them questions of like, "Are you sure? Is this the thing that you really want?"
Mm,
Because you have to make a commitment. You can't say, "I'm just going to do this once a week."
right,
There is no such thing. It's either a lifestyle. Listen, we have one life. Unfortunately, it's really short, really short. And you also you're a person of spirituality, right? Of spiritual being. Now, in the Bible, it talks about like Abraham. He lived hundreds of years, and all these people lived hundreds of years. And I'm like, if they lived hundreds of years, what are we doing wrong? Are we not taking care of ourselves? You
I
know,
remember reading that. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So I was like, God, that's pretty incredible. Hundreds of years, and this and that and the other, and like, wow. But here's the thing, right? Our life, even if we did live to be 300 years, to me, that's a short time, and our lives are even shorter. The expectancy of life has gotten a little bit better than it used to be back in the day, and that's because people understand now that we need to take care of ourselves. But not everybody gets that message. And like I keep saying, it's the message that we have to listen to our bodies on a daily basis. How do I feel when I wake up in the morning? What are the first things I do? So it's that habit that we can start to create. I love the fact that people always say, I don't have time for that. Don't worry. Your time will be limited if you don't make time for that, right? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's crazy. A couple months ago, I did a talk at my church, and I went through, why does it matter that you're still here? And I went through a whole bunch of names, and the names that I read off are people that had, died or moved on in 2021. Some of them were 18 years old, some were
Mm,
20, 22, 45,
wow.
65, 75, 95. On Earth, here we're 90 to 100. That's a pretty good age to live to. I agree, though, that is still very young.
Right.
And I always like to say the philosophy, you get one shot at life.
Mm,
You get one shot. If you're blessed enough to make it to 70 or 80 or 90, what do you want to be? And I don't ask the question as much anymore, what do you want to do with your life? I ask the question, what do you want to be?
mm,
People are so caught up in work eats sleep culture of
right.
the world today. And everybody, you ask everybody anywhere, Sifu, they'll all say the same thing. I want more peace, I want more happiness, I want more joy.
Mm,
And the way you get that is not by asking what you do, but you focus on, who am I being? How can I be this right now? And that's how we begin to recapture our joy about life, and to bring the fun back into things. But yeah, it's crazy. You see it. I see a lot of people that just are not taking care of themselves, and that's one of my missions, as a health coach, and yours too, Sifu, is to try to get those people to say, hey, I need a wake up check. I need a reality. Every day I'm posting on
yeah,
Instagram now about what to eat and what not to eat. And some people are kind of getting the message, but obesity in the United States is actually getting worse still.
mm,
Adult obesity and childhood obesity are still increasing, and we're getting more and more away from nature. We're getting more and more away from who we are, and we're getting more and more wrapped up in technology and what to do.
right.
And the only thing I can do, or you can do, is say, hey, I can lead by example, which is what I do. This is why I live the lifestyle I live. I have a rule. Very first thing in the morning is to get some exercise in. I'll use the word
Yeah.
exercise here. I get up and I stretch a little bit, and then I get my dog, and we go for, at the very least, we go for a 20, 30-minute walk, or sometimes it's a run, or sometimes it's, something else. And then depending on the day, come back, do some strength training. So that's just a diehard rule when I wake up every morning, after I open my eyes. Today's been a crazy 24 hours.
I hear
So
you.
today's been a little bit different, but that's a diehard rule that
We lost you for a minute. So hopefully you're coming back. I want to take this time to appreciate the effort that Brad has made. Being
yeah,
that, hang on a second. I'm just talking about the effort you've made because you did lose internet, and now you went on your phone and you're in your car. And I truly, truly
yeah.
appreciate you making this effort and deliver this message. So
Mm.
thank you. Go ahead. You cut off a little bit.
Yeah, I apologize for that. Yeah, I blew a water pipe at 3:30 this morning, and I woke up
Oh,
water everywhere, and it knocked out my modem, and I'm like, oh no. So yeah, just doing the best we can to adjust
yeah,
here. So thank you
absolutely.
for having me. I appreciate that. But no, what I was saying is, so I have this steadfast rule, when I wake up in the morning, that, after I kind of open my eyes and stretch a little bit, is that I go for, some sort of exercise with my dog. Usually it's a walk or a small run or something like that. And that all boils down to, why am I doing this, and who is this person I want to be? And
Mm,
so those are the two. To every program that I teach now, I start off with those two basic things. Who do you want to be, and why are you here? And those most people skip those two and go straight to the diet and the exercise portion, and they don't have a solid why for doing it, and they don't know who it is. That vision I keep going back to. They don't have a solid grounding in that, and so 3 weeks in, or 4 weeks in, whatever, 2 months sometimes, they've fallen off the horse, they've lost motivation or whatever. So you have to, same as a house, you have to build your foundation, you have to build your structure. And it comes from actually those three things. Actually, one, you've got to have that mindset. I tell people, you've got to choose the best version of you. You've got to choose being healthy over being unhealthy. You've got to choose faith over fear. You've got to choose love over fear. You've got to choose to stand and rise and conquer the challenge over the challenge conquering you. That's the very first thing, is you've got to have that mindset of, what you're choosing. And then you've actually got to step in and be that thing that you choose. So in my case, I'm choosing to be healthy over unhealthy. So then I actually got to step into that. This is where the action comes in. If I'm sitting on the couch at home like I was 13 years ago, is this helping me to be healthy? No, it's not. So how can I be healthy? Oh, I can go for a walk. And that's where the doingness comes in. So I always ask that question, how can I be healthy? And, oh, I can eat this instead of that. That was a huge epiphany for me. This is a funny part of the story. I think 3-4 years into my journey, I was training for a triathlon. And for men, we still carry excess weight around our waist. And I couldn't figure out why I still had this 20 extra pounds.
Right.
And I went into, this is a cute story. I went into the health department one day where I was working, and we always had cookies and everything there. And of course I was still eating them. So now I understand that wasn't helping. But one day I walked into the main office area there, and there's a tray of donuts and chocolate chip cookies and everything. And my favorite was there. My favorite strawberry glazed donut with sprinkles on top. And I literally, this is, if I could say this, the hand of God came in, because I literally remember this. I reached out to grab that donut, and just, with the intention to pick it up and eat it, pretty much like I had done for the last 4 years of my journey up to this point. And literally something literally grabbed my hand and stopped it. I can't explain this part of it, but literally stopped my hand and pulled it back. And this question came to me that says, if I eat that, will I be a stronger swimmer? And oh my God. And then just all these things flashed in my mind. What's in that donut? Well, you've got sugar and phosphates and who knows what else. Right. And literally my hand came back. And this is true story. And I went, oh my God. It hadn't even occurred to me up to that point that if I ate that donut, that it would have a impact on my health and my nutrition and my ability to be a better triathlete. And so my hand came back, and I took a step back, and I was like, what just happened here? And then this other question just came to me, well, what can I eat to be a stronger swimmer? And this just popped into my head. It's like, oh, I can eat spinach. So I was like, oh my God, I had never thought of eating spinach. I know this sounds kind of crazy, but after work that day, I went to the local farmer's market. We actually had a farmer's market open every day in the community that I lived in. And I went and bought spinach and broccoli and kale and all kinds of stuff. I was like, oh my gosh, I can eat this stuff because this is the natural food. This is the healthy food. Right. This will help me to be a better swimmer. And so that's kind of how it started. So the conversion from being a couch potato, lethargic, unweight, low self-esteem, very, very low self-esteem, that was a gradual process. It certainly did not happen overnight. Like I said, this incident with the donut, that was about 4 years into my journey. I had lost the 30 pounds, but I was still carrying around that extra 20 pounds. And it just dawned on me that, oh, I'm eating the wrong foods to help make me a better triathlete. And eventually that transitioned to making me a better, healthier person.
Yeah. A couple of things that you mentioned. One was that we're getting heavier as a country, as a nation, right?
Yeah.
So, and I think the pandemic actually helped with that, because people were stuck at home. They were not doing things. So a lot of people what did they do? They started watching, they streamed movies, shows, all these things. And then what did they do? They ordered from, certain different types of companies. I'm not going to name them, but who would deliver the food to you. So they can order from fast food areas. They can order from healthy food areas. And the choices that were available were the same. So you could have ordered healthy food, from the grocery, or you could have ordered from fast food. And a lot of people, I'm sure, all the fast food places did not suffer during the pandemic, because they got smart and they said, okay, people are not coming to us necessarily, so now we'll have one of these companies deliver to them. And of course, there's a surcharge, but people are going to want it anyway. And they were right. They were brilliant in their business thinking because people are going to want what they're used to. They're not going to make a change because we're stuck at home. Now we have to work from home. Now we have to do things from home. So everything did not necessarily change for a lot of people. If anything, it did change because it became easier to sit at home, not have to work, not have to, I mean, people still work from home, but not have to go out and travel. So they stayed home. They maybe worked, maybe they ate lunch at home, but it wasn't necessarily prepared because maybe they ordered it in. They ordered pizzas, you know, burgers, all these different things. So the food that they were consuming was not necessarily good. Now, don't get me wrong, there were a lot of people who decided, oh, I'm home. I can cook. I can do things for myself, and I know exactly what's going in it. And then it was that thought process of like, oh, I'm just going to sit here at home. I'm either going to work, I'm going to eat, and I'm going to work. I'm going to eat, and I'm going to sit down and watch something. And that was what the days were like for a lot of people. A lot of people didn't think, can I use this time to upgrade my mind? Can I use this time to fix this body of mine that I'm not 100% happy with? And listen, a lot of people have this feeling of my body doesn't feel right, but I can't look like that person. I can't be skinny like that person. So I'm just not going to bother. Instead of saying, not that person, it's me. What do I want to feel like? What do I want to look like? So yeah, I totally agree with you when it comes to that respect of how do we treat our body and where is this country going to? And then the other thing that you talked about is you went to the health department and they had junk food.
Yeah,
Hello.
I used to. Yeah, that was pretty crazy. Every day we had cookies and candies and donuts, and I kept
That's
eating
to your
them every day.
health.
Yeah, very surreal. I'm familiar with what you're talking about, Sifu. I think they call it the COVID 40 or COVID 20, something like that. I put on, all this weight,
20, 30,
and
40, 50.
yeah, it's and eh, everything literally revolves around our health, our self-esteem, our confidence, our self-efficacy, our
Mhm.
self-worth, our value. It really revolves around our health. We feel better if we can walk up the stairs without getting out of breath. We feel better about ourselves and who we are if I can, lean over and tie my shoes. And people are letting, and it's crazy because of the way the world is today, how hectic we are, how busy we are. People are letting that dictate the terms of their life, and instead of putting the brakes on and say, okay, wait a second, everything I've got going on. I had to, in the beginning, I should talk about this. In the very beginning of my journey, I learned this. One of the things I had to do was I had to make me a priority
Right.
above work, above coaching, above anything else I was doing. I had to make me a priority. And most people, they're like third or fourth on their list in terms of their own priority. Like most people will tell you their number one priority is their job. Their number two priority maybe is, I don't know, paying for the house or the mortgage, the bills. Which these are very understandable. And
I keep
COVID
getting
created a lot of.
little dings and stuff. I don't know if you're hitting things, but I keep hearing these little dings on your end. Sorry.
It. Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
appreciate you being flexible.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's a bird chirping, so
No,
we
no,
can
that
take it.
sounds cool actually.
Uh,
Yeah, go for it.
uh, but people are not prioritizing themselves or not prioritizing their health. The only way that you're gonna, I call it from couch to healthy. The only
Mm,
way that you're gonna get off the couch, get moving, take back control of your health, take back control of your emotions, and have that energy that they really want. Everybody says I want to have more energy. That's part of this journey. The only way you're going to do that is to look in yourself in the mirror and say, I'm not happy with where I am. This is where I want to go. and I need to make this the number one priority in my life. You would make your spouse a priority, you might make your kids a priority, and that's great. That's definitely important. But what I'm saying is you've got to put yourself above all of that.
Mm.
And everything literally revolves around your health. And this is especially true as you get older into your 40s, 50s, 60s. You want to maintain that sense of independency. You want to maintain that ability to just keep doing it. It doesn't do any good to be 70, 80, 90 years old if you can't get around, if you're constantly going to the doctor,
Right.
things like that. So we've got to just, I mean, this is where I get on my soapbox a little bit, but we've own got to own our journey. We've got to own our life. We're always talking about, we preach a lot in our culture, accountability and accept responsibility
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of these things. Now we've got to walk that talk. We've got to apply that to our own life. And the only way I was able to do that was I knew who I wanted to be. I knew, why I wanted to be this. And I realized, I can't eat donuts every day if I'm going to
Right.
get to,
Right.
where I want to be. And the mind part of it, I just kept working on the mind too. And I went from saying, oh, hey, I'm a worthless peon, to I'm a credible, capable, competent leader that can help others.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest difference between me and a lot of people is that I wanted that. I had that why. I wanted to be healthier. I wanted to be better. I wanted to better my own life. And I'm going to be 50 years old here in about 2 more weeks, something
Oh,
like that.
awesome.
Oh, but I'm going stronger than ever. I'm not in marathon shape right now, but I'm actually fitter, happier, and healthier right now than I've ever been at any point in my life. I've created a slow, easy program that I teach people to on the exercise part of it. Very sustainable program. I've got the eating dialed in now, the healthy eating, where I can, every once in a while I'll have that donut still and realize I can get back on the saddle without any problems at all. And what I like to tell people too, when you really get into this health journey, you decide that the status quo is no longer acceptable. You have that vision for yourself. You commit to it. You get that spark. You start doing those little things. Just go for a 5-minute walk and start building that momentum. 15 years down the road, I call it the effortless effort now.
Mm-hmm.
It's where everything for me now literally is just on autopilot. Like my body has to have some sort of exercise every day.
Oh, yeah.
It has to have at least one healthy meal every day. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I haven't eaten yet this morning. I don't know what I'll eat for this morning, but yesterday I had a spinach salmon salad for breakfast with some fruit.
Nice.
It's just automatic now. And you get to that it's such a beautiful stage, the effortless effort stage. It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like, training in martial arts. After you've done it for so long and so many years, things kind of start to slow down a little bit in slow motion. I don't know if you've ever noticed that.
Oh, without a
And
doubt.
yeah, it's very similar to that. Just things, just your body just wants to do this. But again, I keep harping this point, the effortless effort to get there. You cannot be satisfied with the status quo. You've got to want to train and improve. Same as in martial arts, it's constantly training, constantly working to better yourself. And you do that, I was always reading a blog, I was always reading a book, I was always talking to other coaches. Hey, how do you do this? Or, I remember trying to learn about carb cycling with another coach. We had a conversation about that once upon a time. It's such a life is so incredible. Life is amazing. It really is. No matter the work you have, the family, everything. If you stop to take a step back, if you stop to admire the scenery and say, you know what, life is actually building me to be the person I'm meant to be. I really believe that no matter what happens in our life, I'm being audited by the IRS right now, and
Mm.
it's been going about 4 months right now. I think 3 months maybe. And I don't know of a single person, if I ask, who here wants to be audited by the IRS? I don't know of a
Nobody.
single that raised their hand. But that's just another experience. It's shaping me and it's molding me into a better version of myself, as I like to say. And that's, I think we all are here on this planet to become the best version of ourselves that we can
Right.
be. And none of us are alike. No two snowflakes are alike. No two
Hmm.
people are alike. Even twins that may have a physical appearance are still different a little bit emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, all that.
Right.
And I think the only reason that we are here, really, if you ask, what's the purpose of being here on planet Earth, is really just to become the best version of you. And I think we're failing ourselves if we're not doing that every day, if we're not stepping up to the plate. And it starts with our health. It doesn't do you any good to have $1 million in the bank if you can't, go on a cruise to spend it or enjoy it.
Uh,
Maybe if just giving it away from your hospital bed or something, that's true. That could be
Could be,
to
it could
charity.
be a way to do it, but yeah, sitting in your
Yeah,
hospital bed, what can you buy that's going to make you better? The doctors are not going to be able to help you at that point
yeah,
because they're saying, that we've done all we can. Unfortunately, you broke you, right?
yeah.
You broke you, so we can only help sustain you. What kind of life is that going to be for us when we think about quality of life, right? So a lot of people don't think of quality of life until it's too late. What if we pre-planned our life? What if we said, what is my last hour on this earth going to be like? What do I want to feel like? Who do I want near me? Who who's at my deathbed? And what can I reflect back and have zero regrets on? A lot, and I say this a lot is what's the cemetery full of? And somebody said to me the other day, dead bodies. And I said, yeah, but it's really dead dreams because a lot of people have regrets of things they never did. They thought about them, they dreamt about them, they wished they would have done them, but they never took action. And it's going to be hard to take action on certain things if all you're worried about is your health. If that's it, if every minute it's like somebody's, a doctor's coming in and putting an injection or just checking your charts, and that's not what you want. You want to be able to have a life that you can say, yeah, at a certain age, if you have grandchildren, to enjoy them, to play with them, to nurture them. So let's go back to a minute about the food, right? Because you worked for the health department and they had delicious but not nutritious food, right?
There you go. Yeah, delicious but not nutritious. Yeah,
Wouldn't it be amazing if those things were actually healthy? Wouldn't it be awesome? Right? We
that would.
all wouldn't be out of shape. We would all be like in great shape. You eat a donut, I feel great and I got energy and it's gonna fulfill me and it doesn't hurt me. I eat sugar and it's good for my blood and my stream and everything, and I can flow and I can move and it doesn't make me lethargic. But that's not the case. So we have to be real with ourselves, right? When we go back to understanding what food really does for us, and you found out because you did your research, right? But a lot of people don't want to put the time into it. Think about I was watching a show. I don't watch TV, but I stream stuff because I do have to wind down sometimes, right? So I was watching, and there was a doctor. It was an old show. It was a doctor who finished an appointment with a child and gave the child a lollipop, right? And then even back in the day, if you look at some of the old movies, everybody was smoking. The doctors were smoking. If you go back 30, 40, 50 years ago to a doctor's office, a lot of the doctors were smoking. Why? Because they didn't know any better. But now we know better, right? So, why is Valentine's such a big holiday? It is. Where are you located again? I'm sorry.
I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma right now.
Oh, okay. I thought you were in another country. So you're in the U.S. So in the U.S., Valentine's Day is a huge holiday. And what's the number one gift?
Chocolate,
You got it.
candy, yeah.
Candy. Now, it started out that we give candy or chocolate, a chocolate heart, to our loved ones or someone we care about. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we got to include the kids. So now we got all this. You go to the stores during Valentine's Day, there's tons of additional candy that was not there prior to that. And it's a lot of it is for kids. So what are we doing? We're telling people we love you. Here's this beautiful looking, delicious tasting, non nutritious thing. And by the way, because I love you, here's something that's going to hurt you. Right. So when we think of it that way, it's like, wow, I love you. And am I giving you something that's going to hurt you? Do we now give away that heart, that chocolate heart, that candy? So one of the things that my girlfriend and I, way back when we didn't realize it, we used to give each other a chocolate. I used to give it to her because, but then, and then she used to give it to me, but we didn't eat it. We just, we just got it. And then we turned around and we said, why are we doing this? This is silly. So we don't do that. We just, we go out to dinner, a nice healthy dinner and so forth. But we don't do that exchange of that type of gift because we're telling each other we love each other, but then we're hurting each other at the same time. It's a mixed message, isn't it?
Well, I say this, the foods that we eat can be either medicine or poison.
Oh yeah.
And just, pick what you want. Do you want to eat, medicine, or do you want to eat poison? And
Right.
let me another point I want to make, Sifu. One thing I'm always learning too on my journey, and I did a live stream on this a couple of weeks ago, but I always ask people now, do you have a long-term health plan?
Mm.
If you ask any person in this country, are you planning financially for your retirement? Most of them hopefully will say yes, but even if they don't, they're very well aware of their financial situation for when they retire. And
Hmm.
so most people will work in, or invest in a 401k, a Roth IRA, something like this, because they're financially preparing for their retirement, for their later years. I'm asking people now, are you preparing for your health for later years? Are you making decisions now that will allow you to still be healthy, independent, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now, just
Hmm.
depending where on the age spectrum that you are.
Right.
Overwhelming majority of people, their eyes go, whoa, like right. They're not even thinking about this.
Right.
So
Not at
that's
all.
another thing. If you're listening to this right now, ask yourself, where am I going to be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 40, 50 years from now with regards to my health? When you're young, in your 20s, you don't really think about this, the long-term health plan. A big part of that long-term health plan, Sifu, you were just mentioning, are the foods that we eat. It can be poison or it can be medicine. Now, certainly a donut every now and then is not going to kill me. A little box of chocolate, is not going to kill me. But when
Right.
these are norm and not the exception, then yes, literally it will kill you
Right.
in the form of diabetes and heart disease and high blood pressure
Mm.
and, ischemia, stroke, all kinds of things.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, so anybody listening, I urge you, take a look at your long-term health plan. Are you planning, down the road 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now? And this is kind of harsh, but sometimes I even have to go this route. I'll say, if you want to be in a wheelchair 20 years from now, keep doing what you're doing. If you want to be using a walker, if you want to be living in an assisted center with somebody, paying thousands of dollars every month, somebody helping you because you've lost your health, keep doing the lifestyle that you're doing. Keep doing exactly what you're doing. Keep eating that. Keep sitting on the couch. That's the extreme when I really have to get tough with somebody and get in their face. I go that route. I try to, do the loving route, but
Yeah, yeah.
and that doesn't work. But take a look at where you're going to be 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now. And, we can never know what life will bring us. I've known very fit, active, healthy people in their 70s that still had a stroke. It's
Mhm.
crazy.
Without a doubt.
I've heard of ultra marathon runners, very fit people that have had heart attacks.
Mhm.
So we never know, but I think we have a responsibility, not just for myself personally, but for those around me. I don't want to burden someone 20 years from now with taking care of me.
Right.
You know, I and this I can get on my high horse here too a little bit. Health coaches, a doctor will cost $200 to $500 an hour. A health coach will cost between 50 and 150 or 200 an hour. We're significantly lower value, and so you're gonna pay. You either pay lesser now or you're gonna pay a lot more later. Choose your pay.
Well, I gotta correct you there. It's not less value, it's less cost.
Less costs. Okay,
But
yeah,
I think the value is more.
yeah, I would agree. Yeah, 10
So,
times less cost, more. That's like a win-win.
oh yeah.
Um,
So when we talk about value, right? Having a coach, having someone there to guide you, because you know what? This is why you and I do what we do. Every day I post on LinkedIn. I post, today was day 228. I do a quick workout. It's either 3 minutes all the way up to 9 minutes, and every day it increments, right? And it's a way for people who've never worked out to say, you know what, I'm going to try one of those exercises. I'm going to try something. I'm going to see if I can follow Rafael. And one of the things that I'm always encouraging people to do is start small.
yeah,
Have you ever eaten a sandwich one bite? Usually it takes several, right? So
yeah, yeah. I
yeah.
mean,
So unless you're the cone heads and they open their mouth big and they push it all in. But and that was a great movie, by the way. But when we think about the way we eat, how often we eat, it's different for everyone. There's fasting, intermittent fasting. How often do you eat? How often do you not eat? We all have different body types. We have to find out what works for us. We cannot take a one approach system and think it works for everybody. Everybody is totally, totally different. So, yes, it's how we eat. It's how we look at food as medicine. It's how we look at food. I'll be honest with you. Sometimes I'm tired of food and I wish I can just take a pill and just keep going because I like to move. I don't want to sit there and have to think, "Oh, what am I going to eat next?" I would rather just like boom, move, take a quick pill and move on. Or, so sometimes I started doing a fasting every Sunday, just drinking water. And the other day I said, what'd you have for breakfast? I had a tall glass of water. It was delicious. But when we start to even get into the fasting aspect, a lot of people think that they're going to be hungry, but it's just a mindset, right? If you think you're going to be hungry, you're right. You are going to be hungry. But if you say, you know what, I'm doing this, and the reason I chose Sundays is because, I wake up, I work out, I do a bunch of things, then I go to church, and then I go to the park and I read, and then I come home and I do other things that I've had my day set for. But it's a day where I can reflect on me, and it's also a day of cleansing. So
mhm,
getting rid of all the toxins out of my body just through just drinking water, being natural that way. So that for me, it works for me. For some people, I know people, friends of mine, they fast 3 to 4 days, 5 days. I've known friends of mine that fasted even 9 days, which that's good for them. That's cool. But for me, one day is good, right? Who knows? Maybe later on I'll go to 2 days or 3 days. But right now, one day is good. Once a week works for me. Um, I'm not looking at, you know, anything that's going to harm me. I'm looking at ways to propel me. So my grandfather lived to be 113. Not my great grandfather, great great grandfather. So my goal is to beat him. I want to be 125 or older when I
Wow.
go. But I don't
Wow.
want to be in a wheelchair or in a bed somewhere. I want to be running. I want to be doing. I want to be moving. I want to be exploring. I want to be able to run in the park, go sit down, read a book. I want to have all my capacities. And I'm doing everything I can to make sure that happens. So it's planning for your tomorrows, and that's what you talked about earlier, right? What is your health like going to be in 20, 30 years? And then the other thing I ask people is, how much weight do you want to lose now? 20 pounds? All right, that's cool. We can make that happen. Unless you want to gain 20 more pounds. Or do you want to gain 30 more pounds? So tell me, in a year from now, how heavier do you want to be from today? If you do nothing, how much weight do you want to put on? 15 pounds? How about 20? How about 30? In 5 years from now, how heavy do you think you'll be? And then they think, they're like, wow, I don't want to be heavier. I'm like, good.
Mm.
So mentally, it's not like I want. That goes, that's everybody in January 1st who goes to a gym and I want. And then March, what gym who? I don't know that guy, right?
Yeah.
I don't know Jim. So all of a sudden it's that mental shift that we have to do to make it a lifelong activity. We need to create a habit and a routine, right?
Yeah. I said a little while ago, it's you have to choose to be healthy over being unhealthy. Whatever you have in your life, a lot of people don't like to hear this because this is really where the accountability comes in. Whatever you have in your life, you're choosing.
Mm,
You're choosing to overeat. You're choosing to not move. Believe it or not, people don't want to hear that because it forces them into a position they have to accept responsibility.
right.
What are you choosing? You're choosing health, Sifu, over everything else. You're choosing health over not healthy, and you're also thinking about your long-term health. Like you said, 125, that's awesome. I don't know if I want to live. My goal is 103,
There
so
you go. There you go.
uh
But let
but
me ask you a question.
sure.
What if you surpass that? What are you
Oh,
gonna do?
I'll keep moving every day. I'll keep eating every day. I'll keep reading every day. I mean, as
Mhm,
long as I'm breathing and I'm on my own and everything, I'll just keep living life. I'll keep doing my podcast, being on podcasts.
right.
Keep living life. Yeah. You mentioned something just a few minutes ago. How heavy are you going to be? What I tell people is worry about the things that excite you. Don't worry about the things that stress you.
Mm,
Worry about how are you going to spend all this money that you have. Worry about, well, which cruise am I going to take? Well, worry about which
right.
vacation am I going to go on. Worry about the things that excite you.
Mhm,
Worry about, okay, which 5K race do I want to sign up for now? I've got, multiple choices here. I live in a big running community. So it's like every weekend there's 3 or 4 different 5K races you can sign up for. Worry about the things, that bring you joy and excitement. We're so fear based. Our brains, I get it, we're hardwired for survival. How am I going to pay the rent? How am I going to
mm,
do this? And I get that. Believe me, I
right,
do. That's a legitimate fear. That's a legitimate concern. But let's, like you said, let's choose faith. Let's choose excitement over fear. Let's choose what can go right versus what could go wrong.
right.
Let's focus on, what gets us excited. Let's focus on, having too many clients versus, I can't find any clients. How am I going to juggle, these things we say, oh, I'll cross that bridge when I get there. Well, let's just focus on it being there already. Oh, I've got too many clients. I don't know what to do. I've got too many podcasts scheduled a little bit sometimes.
Right, right.
So focus on the joy in life. Focus on the beauty in life. You know, I'm actually kind of strange. It worked out. I'm sitting in the parking lot of a very beautiful park. I've only actually been by this once or twice, and I'm just like, okay, where can I go? Where can I go? It's like, oh, I go to that park real quick, and it's really beautiful morning here. So I'm like,
Yes.
wow, I got to be on an amazing podcast with you and enjoying a little bit of nature right now. It's like, well,
That's
this
a
will make
beautiful thing.
up for waking up at 3:30 in the morning to this sound and realizing you burst a pipe
Right.
oh my gosh, that was crazy. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's focus on what's in your heart, not what's in your head. You know, I could get into the spiritual side of this and say, you know, we often live from a place of fear. Well, let's start living from a place of love. You know, love
Oh,
is in our fears in our head and our ego.
yeah. Mhm.
You know, and you mentioned earlier about making decisions, things like that. Let's make decisions from a place of love, not a place of fear. I did that for so long. I mean, if you need to make a decision right now, then boom, make that decision.
Right.
But if you can, you know, place your hands over your heart. You know, how do I feel if I were to take this job, or if I were to move to this place, or if I were to pick up the phone and call this person? How would it make me feel? And if you feel something in your heart, then pick up the phone, you
Right.
know, make that call or make that move across country. I'm from Oregon. I moved 2,200 miles away from home just because my spirit was calling me, hey, it's time to move on. And so I just listened to it, and here I am. And, you
That's
know,
beautiful. That's
my
awesome.
spirit my spirit said to be start a podcast, so I did. My spirit said to let's start getting this message out to as many people as we can about, you know, this idea of couch to healthy. I don't care who you are, I don't care where you are, I don't care if you're 1,000 pounds overweight, I don't care if you're depressed on 20 different medications. It is 1,000% possible to turn all of that around.
Totally. Totally. I
And
totally agree with that.
yeah, if you're in a wheelchair, going to the doctor 5 days a week, I don't care how down you are right now in terms of your health. I will guarantee it is 1,000% possible to turn that all around. But it starts with, I'll say, you, the listener, whoever's listening to this, with making that decision. Hey, I want to better my life right here, right now. It starts right here, right now. And then boom, like you said, those small steps. Go for a 1 minute walk, you know, walk in place,
Mhm.
you know, do some or just something to
Right.
start that momentum.
Yeah.
Um,
Stand up between
and
commercials.
yeah, yeah,
Stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down, stand up, sit
yeah,
down. Do that 20
eh,
times, right? If you're sitting all the time, do it, every 20 minutes, every 30 minutes. Get up, sit down, get up, sit down. Do that for 20 minutes. I mean,
yeah,
20 times, and
yeah,
then, take a walk and put that padlock on the refrigerator. I'm just kidding. But choose the foods that we have in our cupboards, right? In the cabinets, in the refrigerator. Because guess what? If you have the foods that are going to hurt you, you're not gonna think, "Oh, is this" and that's the other thing, right? You're not gonna think about, "W Is this food good or bad for me?" Like you did that one time with that donut.
yeah,
You know what I always tell my clients is, before you put any food in your face, in your mouth, ask the question. Talk to your food. "How are you gonna treat me once I eat you? How are you going to develop in me? What are you going to do to my body? How are you going to make me feel?" Would you sit there and sit in front of somebody who constantly hurts you? They have knives and they stab you every time, poke you, right on you, spray can you, put a bag over your head. Would you stand in front of that person? Then why are you doing it with the food?
yeah,
The food is doing that to you. What food do you want? Do you want the food that's going to make you feel good, that's going to give you a massage? Or you want the food that's going to like pound you in the face and get you a good hit, right? Where it's going to hurt you. You have to make that choice. That's why I say to my clients, talk to your food and let it answer you. How are you going to be to me once I ingest you? How are you going to treat me? What's the relationship with your food?
And what you're doing when you ask yourself those questions is you're flipping that switch in your brain. You're
Without a
moving
doubt.
from the unhealthy switch to the healthy switch. That's how you do it. That's how you reprogram your brain
Right.
to go unhealthy to healthy, is you ask those questions right there. I used to ask, well, if I eat this, will it make me a faster swimmer?
Right.
The answer was no. And then I went to spinach. Well, if I eat this spinach, will it make me a faster swimmer? The answer was yes. So then I went for the first, after that donut incident, for like the first 3 months, I went just all crazy on greens, and I was drinking. It was insane. Like, I just cleared out my refrigerator. It was stock full of spinach and kale and broccoli. And I
So you
started,
went the Popeye way, right? You
yeah,
get
yeah,
spinach.
just learning. I thought, oh, okay. And,
Right.
I thought a little bit more is better, but you can actually, 3 or 4 green juices in a day is probably a little too much, I
Right.
learned.
Right. Right. Exactly. You
So
know.
there was a lot of trial and error too, but you're hitting the nail on the head, seafood. You're asking those questions. You're interacting with your food. Will this help me? How are you going to treat me? And you got to
Mm,
be honest, like, this sugary donut is not going to treat me very well.
no, not at all. So
Um,
here's the thing, right? Not only are you asking the questions of your food, but then you have to ask the questions to yourself. How is my day going to be? What can I interject into my day so I can live a longer life? What can I interject into my day so I have positivity in my life? Are my friends always negative? Is that the people I really want around me? Do I am I spiritually growing? Am I doing something about that? Is there what's missing in my life? What do I need? How can I help more people if I haven't helped myself? Right? Those are the questions you need to ask as well.
you just said something that was just so profound. I want to follow up with what you just said.
Sure.
How can I help myself? The thing that I've learned really over the last 1 to 2 years, because I'm still on this journey too, still
Mm,
evolving, is how can I lead myself? What I've realized is you cannot lead others, you cannot help others, you cannot do anything for others if you're not first helping yourself and you're not first leading yourself.
mhm.
That's a point I make every day now, is I've got to lead myself. If I get
Right.
down in the dumps or whatever, which we all have, good days and bad days still, but those bad days are very few and far in between now. And when I have them, they're gone real quick, like a quick thunderstorm or something. But am I leading myself? I lead myself with my mind. I lead myself with the foods I eat. I lead myself with the exercise that I do. I lead myself with the projects that I'm working on. And the enthusiasm and the passion and the motivation that we bring to all this, I can see it here with you, Sifu, just talking with you, listening to you. You're a very driven man. You're a very passionate
Thank you.
person about what you do. I can see that in your eyes right now. You're showing up as your true self, and
Mm,
that's what we got to do. If you're sitting on the couch, you're not being your true self. If you're not leading yourself, if you're allowing yourself to eat those donuts or not, you're not being your true self. You're not showing up as your best version. And if you're not doing that, you can't lead others. And so you've got to, so it starts with me, it starts with you, it starts with you, the listener. You've got to lead yourself. Lead yourself, lead by example. You know, you would never tell your neighbor to, oh yeah, go ahead and smoke those 200 cigarettes. You would never tell your neighbor, go ahead and eat those 200 donuts. You would tell your neighbor, yeah, eat that spinach salad. You would tell your neighbor, yeah, go for a 5 minute walk. Lead by example.
mhm.
It starts with you. And that's one thing I've really become, more cognitive in my life, is, am I leading myself? Okay, I've got the healthy eating, the exercise part down, but what about the, being on a podcast? Okay, I've got to be ready to show up. I was thinking this morning, oh God, I've got to, oh, what am I going to do?
Right, right.
I had to rip out all the, not all the carpet, about half the carpet at 3:30 this
Ooh,
morning,
Wow.
all this water. I'm getting towels. I'm pushing water out the door, and then I've got a couple fans going on there right now, which is why I didn't want to be there. And then of course, I've got some stuff on the ground. My modem and everything got soaking wet. But anyway, I'm thinking to myself, okay, how can I lead myself to show up for Sifu this morning?
Mm.
And I was a couple minutes late because one, I didn't realize I had to actually push enter to get into the thing. I was like, oh, I got to push enter here. I didn't see that.
Right.
But there was one other piece of equipment I realized, oh, I've got this in the back. This will help out so that I can be balanced and everything here. But it's always, how can I lead myself? How can I show up?
Right.
For that person, like now. So you're a shining example, Sifu, of
Thank you.
and I've got to be that example for others. But it starts with me. So if you're listening to this, it starts with you. Be the change you wish to see in the world. That's such a, Gandhi said that, I don't know, 100 years ago or something, but it still holds true to this day.
Oh,
Be
yeah.
the change you wish to be. Be the leader you wish to be for others. Be the example you wish to be to others. Be the example of whatever it is you want, of health for others. Be the example of responsibility. Be the example of accountability. Be that change and show up and lead yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what
Absolutely.
and I think everybody is a leader. I truly believe that everybody on this planet is a leader, but only certain people can be leaders of leaders.
Mm-hmm.
Again, Sifu, you're a shining example. I'm working on that in my life to be the leader. I don't just want to be a leader anymore. I want to be the leader of leaders.
That's it.
And so that means me showing up. That means being knowing my stuff when it comes to all things health and everything. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I would tell people is that change. Lead yourself. The other buzzword, love yourself. I've taken more time to work on that. I still beat myself up if I still screw up and make mistakes like literally every day.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I haven't made at least 5 screw ups on like a social media post, or oh, I posted that wrong, or like oh, I handled this conversation with the client wrong, so I don't beat myself up as much over those anymore. It's like, okay, Brad, you did your best. I always ask myself that now. Did I do my best?
Mm-hmm.
I can honestly look at myself and say I did my best. Then okay, you learn from it and you move on. And next time you try to do a little better. So the next time I have a similar situation with a client, I'm going to approach it very differently.
Gotcha.
What I learned in the last couple of days dealing with one client. So yeah, but show up, lead yourself, love yourself, give yourself a big hug, look yourself in the mirror and say,
Yeah.
people can't do that.
Yeah.
Learn to love yourself, learn to lead yourself. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
And pat yourself
amazing.
on the back too, right? Because
Yeah,
good job,
absolutely.
you did a good job
Yeah.
today, that's good. And I love what you're talking about, and it's about celebrating you, right? It's about celebrating you and understanding your strengths and your weaknesses, and then working on those weaknesses. Here's the thing that we also have to do every single day is celebrate the tiniest wins. Tiniest
Yes.
wins. A lot of people
Yes.
only celebrate the big wins. "Oh, this big thing happened." No, celebrate it's gonna make your life richer if you celebrate tiniest wins. "Hey, you know what? I didn't eat that donut." That's a
It's a
celebration
win.
right there. Or, "Yes, I drank some water. Woof, good for me." Like you just drank some water. Good for you. Here's the thing. Celebrate the littlest things, but don't just, when you can learn to do that for you, wow. Guess what? You can now do it for other people, and other people will go, "Huh, that is a
Yes.
win. Yes." And then
Yes.
all of a sudden, you're encouraging other people, and you're the voice that they're going to listen to. You're the person they go, "Wow, that person is always so enthusiastic. They're in my corner." So be in your corner first, and then join in and be in other people's corners, because you can make a difference in someone's life. Someone may be having a rotten day. They might even cut you off in traffic. Don't get mad at them. You don't know what they were just going through. Maybe they're rushing home, they got a bad news, or they're late for work, which they shouldn't be. Maybe Who knows? Maybe their water pump went out in the middle of the night, or they have a flood like you had. We don't know what someone is going through, so let's celebrate them anyway. When somebody's really nasty to me, I don't take it personally, because if they knew me, they wouldn't be that way to me. It's just that simple. Talk to me about your podcast for a minute.
Yeah, thank you for thank you for the opportunity to talk about my
And I want
podcast.
some
So
people to listen to it as well. So go for it.
yeah, my podcast is called Be Well, Be Safe, Be Happy, Eat Ice Cream, and it's available on Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon, pretty much wherever you listen to podcasts. And it's a podcast all about love, life, health, and happiness. We
Mm.
talk about a lot of things, health related. I've had financial coaches on there, life coaches, health coaches, spiritual people. Would love to get you on there as well,
Anytime.
Sifu.
It'd be my pleasure.
It's just a very laid back conversation, and I really try to bring forth a lot of the points that I talked about today, that really life is meant to be awesome. Life is awesome, and you're right. Even if we live to be 125, that's really short. That is a really, really short amount of time. I
Yeah.
mean, if you look at the whole universe, like 4 billion years, or I don't know, something like that, or whatever, or even the dinosaurs were like, I don't know, 30,000 or 50,000 years ago, whenever the ice age was, all that stuff. That's a really, really short amount of time. And I say my whole philosophy is now is you get one shot at life.
Mm.
If you're 40 now, when you're 70, this is a cool test I learned about recently on a online training I did. It's called the rocking chair test. So
Mm.
you're whatever age, 90, 100 years old. You're sitting on the rocking chair on your porch, and like you said earlier, Sifu, you're looking back on your life. You know, you're in the rocking chair looking back on your life. Oh, should I have taken that trip? Should I have made that phone call? Should I have, talked to that person? You know, do you hear that noise, Sifu?
Now I don't.
Hold on just a second.
Sure.
Hold on here. There's something went to play here.
No problem. So what
There we
what I'm gathering, I'll let you continue, is that when you're sitting in your rocking horse, but my horse is not going to be rocking. My horse is going to be galloping. Just thought I'd
go.
share that.
Or a fucking Bronco horse, yeah.
Go
But
for it,
whatever,
buddy.
whatever. You don't want to look back with woulda, couldas, or shouldas.
Mhm.
Should I have invested that $5,000 to better myself, to better my business? I'm all about investing in myself to learn skills, to grow my podcast, to grow my business. And every flourishing businessman starts that way. You start at ground zero, and you got to build your way up. And that a lot of times that does mean going into debt.
Right.
But 5 years again, you got to think about, get excited. 5 years from now, I'm going to have so many clients. I don't know what I'm going to do with it all. That's a
Right.
problem that I truly, welcome when that day comes. Uh, but yeah, life is beautiful. It's meant to be joyous. It's meant to be fun. It really is meant to be easy. And the way it's easy is you just focus on all the good stuff. Focus on being love and sharing that love. Focus on being health. For me, it's about health. I focus on being healthy and share this whole healthy living lifestyle, this whole couch to healthy journey.
Right. Yeah.
uh, and take 5 minutes. I mean, what a blessing this morning I get to be able to sit in nature instead of my apartment, my
Yeah.
trailer. This is a lot nicer. Maybe I'll do more podcasts like this. I don't know.
I hear
uh,
you. I hear you. I want to thank you for really, and you talked about being a leader of leaders
yeah,
and doing whatever it takes. And it only goes to prove you did that this morning, because you could have emailed me, even called me and said,
it
Sifu,
believe
can't
me.
do it. It crossed your mind, I'm sure. But
But I'm
for
like,
somehow, some reason, you knew that your message today was important, because someone listening, either live or on the replay, is going to listen with their heart and their mind and take action upon the words that we spoke today. So this conversation, I think, has been extremely important because we touched on so many different things that can and will change someone's life. So I want to thank you, Brad, for an amazing, amazing conversation. And we have to keep this going, my friend. I'm so happy that we've connected. And
Me too.
anytime you need me, I will be there for you, buddy.
Absolutely. We're gonna swap roles here. I'll get you on my podcast here before the end of the year.
You
But
got it.
thank you to all the listeners for being. Yeah, I really wanted to be here this morning, and for anyone, the how will just figure. I didn't know how I was going to do this morning. I kept thinking, God, what can I do? Oh, it's got an internet reception, and I just got in my car, and I'm just a couple miles down the road. It's like, let's just do it. Let's go for it. Let's see what happens. And I said a
Right.
little prayer, okay, on internet and all that. And I think for the most part, it's worked out pretty well. So thank
Right.
you, Sifu, and thank you anyone listening for the opportunity to be here today and share my story with you.
Yeah, and it was meant to be. That's why you have internet, and it was you asked and you received, right? You asked God, and He made sure
I
you had the connection.
I did say a little prayer. I did.
There we go. That's beautiful. All right, my friend, take it easy and have the best day ever.
All right, you too, Sifu. We'll keep in touch. Thank you. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.
All right, bye bye.